Welcome to another episode where we answer the question, who is your neighbor? And we ask, what is your story? And now, your host, LJ.
Hello. Allow me to introduce you to a remarkable individual whose life embodies dedication, perseverance, and an unwavering commitment to his passions. Alan Dixon is not just a name. He is a testament to the incredible heights one can reach through relentless hard work and an unshakable belief in the power of faith. Alan Dixon's journey is a testament to his exceptional work ethic. Whether he's soaring through the air on his motocross bike or facing life's myriad challenges head-on, Alan approaches every endeavor with an indomitable spirit. He thrives on overcoming obstacles, turning adversity into opportunity, and setting a shining example for all who have the privilege of knowing him. As a professional freestyle motocross rider, Alan's talent knows no bounds. His daring feats and breathtaking performances have graced arenas and events nationwide, leaving audiences in awe of his fearless riding and unparalleled skill. Alan doesn't just ride. He dances with the wind, pushing the limits of what is possible and redefining the boundaries of human achievement. Yet beyond the arena and the thrill of motocross, there is a deeper facet to Alan's life, a facet that truly defines him. Alan Dixon is a devoted follower of Jesus Christ. His unwavering faith is the cornerstone of his existence, a wellspring of strength that guides his actions and fuels his purpose. Alan finds immense joy in introducing others to a profound relationship with Jesus, sharing the transformative power of faith and bearing witness to the transformative journeys of those he encounters. In a world that often tests one's resolve and convictions, Alan Dixon stands as an inspiration to us all. His dedication to his craft, his fearlessness in the face of challenges, and his commitment to spreading the message of faith make him a remarkable individual worth celebrating. Alan Dixon's story is a testament to the heights that can be reached when passion, perseverance, and faith intertwine to create a life of purpose and impact.
So how you doing, Alan?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on your show.
No problem. And 5 quick questions for you that you'll see in a second.
Okay. I love it.
All right. So just kind of get the feel of what's going on here. Okay. I need a producer.
No worries.
All right. First question.
6. If you could travel anywhere in the world.
All right. If I could travel anywhere in the world, where would I go? It's funny. I've actually been thinking about this, and me and my wife both really want to go to the Holy Land. So Jerusalem is where we would love to go. We'd also like to go to Italy, just because of all the history there. But the ultimate place would definitely be Israel and Jerusalem.
Right. I'm all for that. I might have to wait for the improved version. Anyway, yeah. But that'd be cool to go there and stuff.
For sure.
Nice. Okay, another question here.
11. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think for me, if I could have any superpower, it would be that my body could heal instantaneously until I die.
Right.
Because of what I'm currently happening right now. I have a ruptured Achilles that I'm recovering from, and I've just had some big injuries while doing my dirt bike riding. So if I could just heal instantaneously, it would be awesome, because not only could I always be, healthy, but
Right.
I could also afford to take more risk with learning new tricks and not worry about, the consequences of breaking bones and all that fun stuff. So,
Right. And that's just that you mentioned that it's hard enough for most people to recover from that, but you probably have to wait a little bit longer because of the stress you put on your legs. Right.
yeah. Well, sorry, I'm trying to block that light. The doctor thinks that I'll get back pretty quick still, just because he knows I'm going to take therapy very seriously, and I try to take care of my body pretty well. And so I should still be able to get back pretty soon, but yeah, it'll still probably, I mean, fast for this injury is still going to be probably 5 or 6 months, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, that sucks.
yeah.
Don't make sure you don't eat too much while you're hanging out.
Yeah. Get out of shape. Yeah.
What is your
Yeah.
favorite book?
All right. What's your favorite book?
Yes.
Definitely the Bible is my favorite book. I love digging into it every single day. And we were actually talking about this the other day, me and my wife, how the Bible, it says in Timothy that the Bible is alive and active. And
Right.
we've definitely seen that. We've read the same chapters, and just whatever situation we're in life, it feels like God will speak to that situation through the book. The words haven't changed, but somehow, the way that they apply to your situation changes. And so that's definitely my favorite book.
Yeah, I kind of always look at you go to church and you hear a sermon and go, "Wow, that really spoke to me." Did the pastor pick that out for me or whatever?
Yeah.
But we're just like so messed up, every sermon's going to apply to us at a particular time. So,
Yep. For
yeah,
sure.
and it's always something. Sometimes subconsciously, not sure what's going on, and it just brings it to light that you're dealing with something.
For sure. Yeah.
18. What's your favorite holiday and why? 18.
All
What's your
right.
favorite holiday?
Yeah. My favorite holiday, I have a couple. I love Easter. One, because it's spring and it's nice getting out of winter season. I'm not a big fan of winter, but obviously because we also celebrate the resurrection of our Lord, the day he overcame death and sin. And so I've always really loved Easter. And I also really like the 4th of July because it's summertime and I like the summer. But definitely meaning-wise, Easter is definitely my favorite holiday.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I saw your poem that you did for Easter, and it was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
thanks. Yeah. Yeah, if anyone wants to see it, my YouTube channel, Rider for Christ, feel free to check it out.
Yeah, I will be posting all of his information down there in the description, so check it out.
Awesome.
And just one more here.
Okay.
5. What's your favorite type of music?
Yeah, my favorite type of music is definitely Christian rock. If I had to get more specific, I like more hard stuff, actually. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard the band Disciple, but I really like their music. But any type of any music about the Lord, I love. I've actually grown to like Christian rap. I've met a lot of rappers at different events I've been to, and I love the poetry that they have in their music, and how they take music that's usually associated with something that's kind of known for singing about very worldly and bad things, and then singing about Jesus and what he's done in their lives. And so any type of Christian music, but the one that I really like the most would be Christian rock.
Yeah, I've been kind of on a kick lately on messianic music, where these groups, they'll sing in Hebrew and stuff, and they'll have the lyrics in English, and they this one's I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. It's like Mekadam or something like that, and they do all the Psalms, and so
Oh, cool.
yeah, and there's the other guy named Joshua Aaron, I think his name is, and he or I might got him mixed up with another Aaron guy, but anyway, this guy Joshua, he's been he does it both in English and Hebrew as well, and sometimes they perform in front of the Western Wall, or
Oh, cool.
yeah, and so I really enjoy the hear it in Hebrew and stuff. And
Yeah, I'll have to have you message me those names after the thing. I'd
yeah.
like to look at them for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. So like I mentioned earlier, I'll pull it up here.
The Good Samaritan story, also known as Who's My Neighbor? A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him up, and left him half dead beside the road. By chance a priest came along. But when he saw the man lying there, he crossed to the other side of the road and passed him by. A temple assistant walked over and looked at him lying there, but he also passed by on the other side. Then a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged them. Then he put the man on his own donkey and took him to an inn, where he took care of him. The next day he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, one telling him, "Take care of this man. If his bill runs higher than this, I'll pay you the next time I'm here." Now which of these 3 would you say was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by bandits? Jesus asked. The man replied, "The one who showed him mercy." Then Jesus said, "Yes, now go and do the same." Luke 10 verse 29.
So anyway, he just, he helped them out. And so who you define as your neighbor when you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that anyone who's in the Imago Dei, the image of God, can be a neighbor. Anyone that we can have contact with. Obviously, just like that parable said, the Samaritan most likely didn't know that man that he had seen beaten on the side of the road, but he was still his, neighbor, because that he had the ability to help that guy. And so to me, my neighbor is anyone who, is in the image of God that I come in contact with, is my neighbor.
All right. So, can you tell me more about yourself? Your background?
Absolutely. Yeah. So where would you like me to start? Do you want me to start from when I was a kid? Do you want me to start, from when I was born again?
Yeah, teenager.
Okay. Yeah. So
start off about a teenager.
Okay. Yeah. So I grew up in northern Utah. My family is all Mormons, and so I grew up in that, that background, and that was just kind of what I knew. That's everything that I knew. I believed in God, but I didn't really have much of a walk. And my family is full of people who are very go-getters. And so I was always kind of the black sheep because I was kind of shy and insecure of myself. And so in high school is where I really had my first, is when I was born again. And long story short, because I don't want to, take your whole day up, but I was in high school and I was having struggles with self-worth and with some addictions I'd fallen into. I had fallen into a pornography addiction that I was too ashamed to talk to anyone about. In the culture I grew up in, that's something that you cannot talk about, and it's something that nobody does, even though a lot of people struggle with it. Everyone pretends like they don't because they don't want to talk about it. And so I just kind of dug myself into a deeper and deeper hole of, I just need to be good enough to quit. I need to have more self-control. I need to do this. And I got to a point where I realized that I had no ability to quit. And I decided the only way out was to take my life, sadly. And, I was in that mindset in my room all alone at home when I turned to God, and I just, asked him why the heck my life was this way. Why he allowed this to happen to me. And it was at that moment of my very lowest I'd ever felt, my very most unworthy I'd ever felt, my very dirtiest I'd ever felt. that the love of Jesus Christ came into my life, and I was able to experience the love of God that surpasses all understanding, as the word says, where when I was at my very lowest, I felt the love that God had for me and that he expressed in Jesus when he died on the cross. And I just felt like I was accepted and forgiven at that moment. And I didn't fully understand it, but I just fell on my knees and was sobbing, so thankful that God loved me that much when I felt like nobody could love me and nobody could care for me. And because of that experience I had with God, I was just blown away. It literally, when the word says you must be born again, I feel like I was born again from that moment. I went from, not really having any interest in church or God to being kind of obsessed with it. And at that time in my life, as I said, I grew up in a small town. Everybody was Mormon. That's all that I knew.
Right.
And so to show my thankfulness for what God had done in my life, I wanted to go on a mission, as you see the missionaries riding their bikes around and stuff. So I went and did that for 2 years up in Seattle. And it was actually there that I got introduced to biblical Christianity and ran into a pastor as I was going door to door who shared the gospel with me. And, at that time, it kind of was interesting to me because I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I experienced is what he was talking about. And so when I got back is when I really started diving into what are the differences between, these other Christian faiths that I hadn't really encountered until I was out there on a mission and what I grew up with. And it's from there that I got plugged in. I started attending, some different churches when I lived in St. George. And First Southern Baptist is the first church that I really connected with. And Pastor John there really helped answer some questions I had and walk me through, what I had experienced, that, it was all Jesus, as the word says, is by grace you are saved through faith, not of yourselves. So it is a gift of God, not of works, so that no one can boast. Ephesians 2:8-9. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I had experienced. It wasn't anything that I did at that moment. I just sought Jesus, and he's the one that, had overcome my sin. He's the one that helped me. Because like I said, I was trying to quit, and I had no ability to. And after that experience I had no desire from there on. It was cold turkey, and it was easy. It wasn't like it was a hard thing. And so it was Jesus who had come and changed me from the inside out, not me changing myself to get to Jesus, as I had been raised and thought that's how our relationship with God was. And so from there, I started attending Calvary Chapel, which is where I met you, and that group band of brothers. St. George is where I really learned a lot about, how to effectively share the gospel, how to go to the lost with the prison ministry, going to George Fest, going to the Dixie State campus, and just sharing with people there. And in between then, I got involved with a motorcycle riding ministry. And that's where I, combined my passion for riding dirt bikes with sharing the good news of the gospel. And which is why I go by Rider for Christ now, is because my passion has never changed to share what Jesus has done in my life, what he can do for anybody. That, all of us are broken. All of us live in a broken world, but God came to this broken world, and Jesus Christ paid the penalty for the brokenness, overcame the brokenness, so that we no longer have to live in that we can be born again, become a new creation because of God, and then live out that new creation and helping other people find Jesus as well until we're called to be home with God. And so, sorry, I talked forever there, and
no, that's fine.
Quite a bit,
that's
but
perfect.
That's just scratching the surface of a lot of different things in my walk with God. But those are really the big moments, when I felt God call me to be a rider for him, rider for Christ. That's really where I feel like I have, a purpose and a calling right now in life, and brings me the most joy when I'm able to, share be used by God to expand his kingdom. That to me is what life's all about, and what I feel I'm called to do.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about what inspired you to get into FMX, and so it was God that inspired you. Well, was something that was fun. So.
Yeah, well, it's actually interesting. I got the desire to do FMX the very first time I ever saw it when I was probably about 12. And I was just like, I'm going to do that one day. And so for the longest time, I actually had them separate, where it was like, oh, here's my freestyle motocross. Here's my walk with God. But after I broke my femur in 2013 while doing freestyle motocross, it was at that moment that God, really opened my eyes to how holy he is and how amazing our relationship with him truly is, that led me to doing it for Jesus and not just, having them be separate, but combine them, because God, God's a relational being, and our relationship with God should involve our passions and our hobbies and every single aspect of our life. So.
Yeah. I don't remember when I first started watching FMX on TV and stuff. And I knew, besides Travis Pastrana, but there was I'm not sure if it is, because I don't want to get him mixed up with the musician, but Brian Adams maybe, or just Adam, or Nate Adams. Maybe it's Nate Adams.
Nate Adams, yep, Nate Adams.
Yeah. I know he was a Christian writer. And,
yeah.
So.
It's cool. I really looked up to Nate Adams, and I've been able to meet him and talk with him since then. And yeah, still a firm, brother in the Lord, and awesome guy for sure.
And so, how'd you find Zero Gravity?
Yeah, so Zero Gravity back in, what would that have been, 2016, 17? I had ridden with a rider at a rodeo here in Utah who was involved with Zero Gravity. And, the whole time I was talking about Jesus nonstop. And so after he went back home, he was from back east. He talked to the Zero Gravity guys and was like, hey, if you're ever looking for another rider, I met a dude who's, has a passion for Christ. And so they gave me a call, and I went and did an event with them down in Texas. And ever since then, we've just been working together. So the first time meeting them in person, it was like I had found, my family I hadn't seen for a long time, is what it felt like. And so we've just really clicked from day one.
And so what have been your biggest challenges doing FMX, kind of as a whole? Obviously tricks are hard and stuff. You have to learn new tricks all the time. But how you your biggest challenges about riding, I guess.
Yeah, definitely the biggest challenges are I'd say one is where I live. There's very few people who do it. And so getting started was really hard for me, and God opened some doors for me to be able to do it. But the other thing is the injuries is probably the hardest thing. I train every single day to try to stay in shape so that I'm less likely to get injured. And Thankfully, I've been injured less than a lot of riders, but, no matter how hard you train, when you hit the ground from, 75 feet in the air, you're going to break something or hurt something. And so the injuries are definitely the hardest part. And then coming back from the injuries is always hard because, the last time you rode a motorcycle, you broke yourself. And so now you got to jump back on there and have faith over fear and just get back after it. And do it right this time. So,
yeah.
But, and actually, you know what? The hardest part recently has been the effect it has on my loved ones. And so this was my first big injury I've had since being married. And the stress that it puts on my wife and how much it hurts her to see me hurt is definitely the hardest part for me now is how much I know it affects not just me, but, those around me.
Right. Yeah, that's understandable. And so I guess your typical day is a little bit different now, but when you are active, what's your typical day?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a pretty structured guy as much as I can be. So I wake up, get in the Word first thing. I try to read, the verse of the day, and then also go through a chapter in wherever I'm studying. Currently, I'm studying in the book of Romans, and so I'll try to read a chapter in that. And then I'll usually put on a podcast while I work out. So I try to work out every single morning, besides Sundays, where I, just get the body fit, work on exercising and stretching. And then after that, I go to my day job most days. Right now, well, currently I'm a marketing strategist for Google Waze, but we just found out that they're ending their contract. And so our whole team's getting laid off in August. And so that's been fun. So right now, after I exercise the limited amount that I can with my injury, I get online and apply for jobs and look for that. And then throughout the day, I try to constantly get in the Word and get in podcasts. And then after work, spend time with my wife. We go to Bible study every Wednesday, and she plays in our church's worship band. And so she'll oftentimes have practice on either Thursday night or a Tuesday sometimes. And then on weekends, during the riding season, when I'm healthy, I travel and I ride. And then, church on Sunday. But every week in the summer is different when I'm injured, because I'll be all over the United States. And so lots of driving, lots of traveling, and then, the riding at new locations and whatnot. So
are you working remotely while you travel to shows and stuff, or you set aside, or what?
Yeah, now with the transition with the former position I had, we work from home, but before we weren't. So we were in office, and so I would just try to work 10, 11-hour days so that I wouldn't have to work Friday, and I could come in a little bit late on Monday. And so I would leave as soon as I was done with work, drive to wherever I was going, perform, and then drive back and go into work. So yeah, it's busy.
So what keeps you motivated doing your job, or the FMX?
Multiple things. Number one is, just that it's an act of worship for me. And so every single time that I start my motorcycle up, yeah, it's fun. Yes, I get the adrenaline hit, but for me, that's time where I just set aside to worship and to talk to God the whole time I'm riding, and to just experience, God through the riding. I'm also motivated by how I've seen people find Jesus from coming to an event and hearing the news message, and then themselves seeking that and finding that. That's a huge motivation for me. And yeah, I just love it. So
cool. Yeah. So I'm not sure how to apply this question, but in FMX, do you see like any new trends are coming or developments in the industry? I've heard recently about 4-strokes are becoming more like 2-stroke 250s now, or so bigger bikes, or is it just those? Are they performing with bigger bikes now, or going towards that, or they're just sticking with the 250s because they're lightweight?
Yeah. So that's actually a really interesting question. It's more. There's definitely more 4-strokes than there used to be. When I very first got introduced to freestyle motocross, it was all 252 strokes. I currently still own and ride a 252 stroke. But this last year, I had a deal with Young Power Sports where they let me borrow one of their 450s, and I was riding that for a while. And both bikes are great. A lot of people like the 450s because they're less maintenance, and you never have to revalve for elevation or climate, and they're more consistent power. But a lot of people still love the 2-strokes because they're light. They're very simple to work on if you do need to work on them. And, the power band is awesome for doing tricks when you're up the ramp. And so it's kind of split right now. There's quite a few people that ride both. Right now, the new thing is electric bikes. And so there's a guy over in Switzerland named Matt Rabot who rides an electric bike, and we'll see how they end up doing. It'll be interesting because I live at elevation up in northern Utah, so my bike's a lot slower than when I go to sea level. And whenever people come from sea level, they complain about power. But those electric bikes, they ride the same no matter where you're at because they don't have combustion. And so, things are always changing and developing. But the trusty 2-stroke is still around, and I think it will be around for the remainder of the time that I ride, at least. But we'll see. Innovation moves quickly, so it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out.
So is there anything else you would like to talk about or put out there? So you can talk about whatever you want to talk about now if you want to.
Okay. Yeah, just I appreciate you organizing this podcast. I know it's probably a lot more work than most people listening or watching think it is. So first of all, thank you for having me on here and taking the time to set this up. Anytime that I'm asked if there's anything else I'd like to talk about, it's just that, whoever is listening to this, whoever's watching, just know that, whatever you're going through, whatever situation in life you're in, that all of us are broken. All of us fall short of not only our standards, but super short of God's standards. And that's why, we have a Savior, Jesus Christ, who came into this world, overcame all the brokenness, overcame the sin. And it's just through, the word says, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and you believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. And so seek Jesus. If you have any questions, I would love to talk to anybody about that. Like you said, you'll share my social medias and YouTube and whatnot, but that's something that I will talk with anyone about at any time. And so would love to answer any questions, but that's where you find your true purpose and joy is in Jesus and who he created you to be. And so that's my main message that I want people to walk away with from this. Even in the hard times in life, like right now, I have this Achilles tendon injury, and I actually just finished another poem about that I'll put on my YouTube channel. I haven't quite recorded it yet, but even in the low times in life, God really uses those to have breakthroughs in our lives. And so even though, it's not fun in the moment, I've learned a ton through this injury. And so whatever you're facing, listener, God loves you. He's for you. If you seek him, then you will find. So that's my main thing I want to share, LJ.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And it's one of the reasons I'm doing the podcast is that I'm not always that outgoing, so I'm trying to develop that more. And it is kind of hard. It's actually hard to find people to do the podcast with as well. And I'm going to be searching out people, different walks of life and stuff, and asking about who their neighbor is and how they volunteer to help, or who they, what their thoughts are, and trying to bring back, remind people that we're all the same, basically. There's too much, all of a sudden we forgot that we played the same games in high school or whatever, driving movies, etc. Just trying to remind we're all human, and and we all experienced life basically the same. We just grow, and so I'm just trying to connect people back to what I experienced in the 80s and 90s, it's just, people didn't really care about too much other than, living life, and so,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get over my fears of talking. So,
yeah, I love your vision. Like you're saying, my shirt says we're all God's creation. And so, I agree with you that, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that make us different, but there's way more things that we have in common. And, we'll find our true meaning and purpose when we seek the creator who created us, because he knows what we're programmed to do more than we do. So you wouldn't want to try to operate something without first reading the owner's manual. So,
right.
Yeah.
I was kind of wondering what it said. It looked like AU on there.
Yeah. We are all God's creation. Genesis 1:27.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Cause I know people on the East Coast that, they know this, the same, Billy and whoever sitting in a tree, KI, everyone does that, and it's weird how everyone knows that, but it's not like we're taught that except for through our friends and stuff, but that stuff keeps on getting passed down. But now it seems like we are forgetting that we come from the same place basically, and we're just so divided, and you do one little thing, you're a monster, no matter if what view you have, you're just a monster automatically. And we forget, that we're all God's creation and we're all human, and we all do share the same stuff, Yeah, we have different points of view of stuff, and we live what's right, but anyway, again, thank you, Alan, and you can find his information down below, and take care.
Yeah,
have a good day.
LJ. You too, brother. We'll see you.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening and downloading. Please like, follow, comment, rate, and share the show. Don't forget social media to support the show. Use the handle on Twitter and Instagram at LJTrekker. That's ELJAYTREKKER.